Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Over the Head Podcast with Heartsy and Rat. Week 10, PLL season is in the books. This is week 11 in Boston, if my calculations are correct. A horrible week to be me last week. I think Heartsy. I think I looked back. Every game I picked the Redwoods. We both picked the Redwoods to beat the Whip Snakes. Every other game I got wrong, and you got right, I believe. So I've been saying it all year. It's a week-to-week league. So we're not going to harp on it. We're going to bounce back, make some adjustments, go into the last week of the season in the playoffs strong. But I think I'm excited for this episode because, like, finally, in a league with 8 teams, it's just you want to get to this clarity around playoff picture and what every game means, and you really can't do it till the last week. And so finally we have kind of the scenarios laid out in front of us. So let me walk through that. We'll recap some of the games from last week, and then we'll spend some time talking about what to watch this weekend, what are the most important games, and what do we see happening. So right now, the Eastern Conference is mayhem. You have the New York Atlas sitting in first place. Likely that's where they're going to finish. There's a crazy scenario where the Cannons go 2-0 and win one of the games by 25 goals or something like that, and they could come in there and steal first place if the Atlas lose. But most likely, the Atlas are going to get the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. But then all 3 teams after that are still alive and still alive to be dead, right? So the Water Dogs at 4-5 with a -2 score differential. The Cannons at 4-4 with 2 games to be played at a -3 score differential. And then the Whip Snakes are at 3-6 with a +4 score differential. So the way that this is going to play out is the Water Dogs play the Atlas. Okay, if the Water Dogs win that game, they get to 5-5. They're safe. They're in. If the Water Dogs lose that game, then Whip Snakes Cannons on the last day becomes to make the playoffs. If the Water Dogs lose, their score differential will be worse than the Whips. And if the Whips beat the Cannons, the Whips will be in. And the Water Dogs, the once darling Water Dogs, will be eliminated. And that's not that crazy of a scenario. They're playing the first place team. What makes it even more juicy is that, the Cannons play the Redwoods on Friday. So how much that game does or doesn't mean to the Cannons will depend on what happens in the Redwoods game. Let's say the Cannons beat the Redwoods and the Atlas beat the Water Dogs. The Cannons could go to Topgolf on Friday night after their win, and they could just throw the Whip Snakes game and eliminate their arch enemy, the Water Dogs, if they want to, just by losing to the Whip Snakes the next day. So that's going to be a really interesting battle to watch. We'll come back and dig in more real quick. In the Western Conference, less drama there, right? The Outlaws, the Chaos, and the Redwoods are going to be your 3 teams. Yes, there is a scenario where the Redwoods lose. They fall to 4-6. The Archers win. They've improved to 4-6, but the Archers would need to win by 10 goals. The score differential right now is the Redwoods are 9 goals better. So the Redwoods would need, depending on how much the Redwoods lose by, the Archers would need to win by, that 10 minus that number, whatever. It's highly unlikely. Let's just put it that way.
Could happen. We've seen that before in Albany. Remember that with the Redwoods had eliminated us. They had to win by like 15 goals or something. So we have seen it. So
where it becomes interesting is if the Redwoods lose by a lot, right? They play the Cannons, who need the win, and we'll talk about the Cannons. But all of a sudden, like total 360, kind of streaky. You go back and you look, and you're like, wait, they scored 17 in a loss to the Outlaws, but they played really good. Then they just blow out the Water Dogs. Like, yeah, it's not impossible to say the Cannons win that game by 5 or 6 goals, and now all of a sudden that score differential is, 3, and the Archers need to win a game by 4 to make the playoffs. So it's not impossible, but it's less juicy than the Eastern Conference where where you have 3 teams battling it out. One of those teams has 2 games, and Heartsy, I just think look. We predicted it. The Water Dogs Cannons could not have been chippier, right? The first 2 minutes of the game, Curse is fighting. Colin Curse is hitting Sowers and then trying to fight Courier. I just love the idea of the Water Dogs losing to the Atlas, the Cannons beating the Redwoods, and then the Cannons holding the Water Dogs' fate in their hands against the Whipsnakes. Like, I've never been one to say a team would intentionally throw a game. Like, I don't think a team on the field will ever throw a game. I think the way
Yeah.
you throw a game is like by not playing certain guys, but like when you only have 19-man rosters, you can't really do that. Like, who are you going to not play? You're going to sub out Curse. Well, you got a all-time great goalie Gittleman. It's not like you're going to, but the guys on the field are not going to intentionally try to lose a game. Now,
No.
if it's close late, I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Is there any scenario where the Cannons are in that huddle saying, fuck the Water Dogs? Like, we would lose this game to the Whipsnakes and let's get them eliminated.
Yeah, it's tough too. Like, you don't know if you know the playoff scenarios, who would you rather play, the Whipsnakes or the Water Dogs? But yeah, I think you're right. I don't think any teams are gonna just on purpose throw a game. Maybe if it was the same coaching staff, obviously Andy Copeland from the Stout hit. Maybe you throw the game just to be assholes. But yeah, I don't see Brian Holman in the huddle going, "Hey guys, let's
No,
throw this
no,
game."
me neither. But I don't think there's any love lost with the new Water Dogs coaching staff either. It was a
No.
pretty icy handshake line at the end of that
Yeah.
game. And so let's go. So we'll look forward because it's going to be really fun to do that. Let's go back. We're gonna Artie and I have talked about. We're gonna try to not just spend the entire time talking about Cannons Water Dogs, but that was the most compelling game. It was crazy to watch. So let's start there. And I do think we should spend some time on Blaze and the Chaos as well. But in that Cannons Water Dogs game, so literally the first possession of the game, Sowers goes underneath, Curse comes out, pops him, right? That's been a strategy that, we used to use against him going back to the Archers days. When you have an athletic goalie, he's so fast that sending him underneath and having a goalie basically close that gate, it's relatively effective. I don't really see that as now. Boyle was freaking out about a hit in the head. It didn't look like that. I mean, maybe there was some helmet-to-helmet contacts, but to me, it did not look like the way that he was making it sound. Like, oh my god, like it's head-to-head. Like, I just thought it was a good, hard, clean hit by Curse. Okay, maybe if it's not clean, it's a 1-minute penalty, but I didn't think it was anything worse than that. That play happens. The ball continues on. The Cannons end up with it. They go to clear. Curse gets rid of it on the clear, and Courier tries to come hit him late. Curse literally ducks and flips Courier over his back, hockey style, and then pushes him into the ground, and then goes right at Sowers and gets in his face. So, Colin Curse, there's not a nicer guy in the world. And to me, that was that's a leader champion type of play by him. Like, it's just a set the tone moment. Like, yeah, I'm a nice guy, but fuck this. Like, we're here to win. He goes right after those two. I didn't have any issues with it. I don't know what the dialogue is out there, Heartsy, if you said, but I didn't see any of that as dirty. I saw that as tone setting. We're here to fucking play. Like, let's go.
I hate I don't know where it stems from, but the crease dive is obviously it's a rule in our game, not the college game. But if you're going to run across the crease and dive through it and you don't think you're going to get touched or hit, you've lost your mind. Because as a defense, like Scott, you obviously, I'm sure you guys, someone dives through the crease, you want to make somebody pay for that. Not to be dirty or anything, but you're going to try to get a body on them and hit them because
I was usually up breaking up field though, looking for the outlet pass by the time that was happening. But yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But then it gets chippy, he's diving to the crease, cursed, say what you want, but if you're going to do that, expect to get hit. So and that's his thing. He likes to come underneath and dive, and that's part of his game, but also expect to get hit. So the chippiness, we knew what this game was going to be. Obviously had a lot of implications on playoff seeding and, getting out in front. So and then after that, Owen Grant, Jake Taylor, kind of rolls to the middle and then he gets smoked.
Yeah, but that was a clean hit. And then Connor Kelly got trainer later in the game on a clean hit. So I guess what I'm saying is this game was super entertaining.
Yeah.
You had to really be dialed in, but if you watch the handshake line at the end of the game, Tierney was not happy, right? And that's the part that bugs me. That's the same thing that Copeland did, which is getting all salty, crying about a team playing physical. It's this is pro lacrosse. We're playing to win. You look at the NLL, you guys throw hands and then you shake hands after the game and you leave it behind. for some reason in this rivalry, that doesn't seem to happen. There seems to be this like carryover effect of like, fuck these guys, that I don't really understand. Because to me, that was just a hard fought game, and one team looked like they were ready to play and they knew they had to win, and another team
Yeah.
looked like, being the Water Dogs, looked like they didn't have that sense of urgency. And clearly, that play at the beginning of the game, like, it seemed to take a little pep out of Sauer's step. Like, he was not aggressive and dominant, the way he was in the first half of the season. And the Cannons, man, bullied them. I mean, the whole game, they bullied them all over the field. The Water Dogs couldn't get a stop.
Yeah, and Water Dogs, man, 2 for 23 out of the midfield shooting. 2 for 23. Hannah took 8 shots, no goals. Connor Kelly took 8 shots, 1 goal. Zach Courier took 3 shots, 0 goals. Like, that's the stat that stuck out to me the most, because they had some step down twos that Connor Kelly usually hits. But dude, some of the shots they were taking with their hands free weren't even on cage. So like, I don't know what that is. Maybe the thin air in Denver. I don't know.
What I think Kurse deserves, I mean, look, he went 70%, 71%. So when a goalie gets hot, you start seeing more shots miss cage, because shooters are shooting for, smaller spots. And this was the story of the game. Kurse was the MVP, and again, of this game. To Colin Kurse, that is. There were three Kurse running around out there. But to me, that was it. He set the tone with the play on Sowers. And it wasn't the hit that set the tone. It was after the hit, when Courier tried to hit him late, he flips Courier, goes after him, and then goes and gets right in Sowers' face. Like, that epitomized the game to me.
Yeah.
One team played over their toes in attack mode, and one team didn't. And it's like, if you're the Water Dogs, like, the fuck did you expect? It's been like this every single time. This is the 5th straight time you played the Cannons where Sowers has gone underneath and got popped. Like,
the start of that game just literally brings the vibes of Champ Series, the stout hit. Like, that, the beginning of that game, not that was dirty or anything, it wasn't, but like, they did that and took the wind out of their sails and jumped on them, and they kind of never recovered from that. So yeah, I think that start of that game definitely won the Cannons that.
So here's where I'm at on the Water Dogs. I mean, I think your midfield shooting stat is spot on. I still look at them and say, talent wise, like, this team should be competing to win the championship, especially with their offensive talent. That if they've had one kind of like, issue really now for 2 years, it's just this, like, sometimes it feels like lackadaisical. Like, Hannah, for the skill that he has, he doesn't dominate. You see him some games. We saw it earlier this season with, why am I going to blank on, what's the Virginia, McCombie, right? Like, he looks like a midi of the year, and then he can just go like 4 weeks without scoring. Hannah can do things from the midfield shooting that almost nobody else can, but then he can just completely disappear. I mean, Kelly's probably the most consistent of that group.
Yeah, and like, to your point on that, like, there's just like, they got to hit their shots, right? And I think, Kurse, when Jake Taylor got hurt and he came back in the game, then Kurse is down at attack, and then he's like scoring goals. It's like, he had 6 points.
This was the weekend of hearts. He was right. I mean, you've been calling that. You got all the games right, which, good job. Then you've been calling for that. Tierney's obsession with Jake Taylor is weird to me. Like, I would not have predicted he would ever play in the pros watching him at Notre Dame. Not because he wasn't good. He was really good. But, like, inside guys are a dime a dozen in pro lacrosse. Like, you can find a lot of guys who can catch and finish. Fuck, put me on the crease. I'll go in there and catch and finish inside. Like, to put a guy out there on offense that is so one-dimensional when you have one of the greatest, like, college lacrosse players of all time, the number 1 pick. And the broadcasters have done a good job. Quint and Kark, like Boyle, have been calling for this. But, like, it totally changed when Kurse went to attack. And it was like, oh, he's a lot better. Like, he can catch and finish on the inside too, but he can also dodge and feed and pick up ground balls and do a lot of other things that Taylor doesn't do.
Yeah, and if you're going to dress an inside guy, and that's all his game is, you better be scoring 3 goals a game. But the last couple of weeks, man, he's been 1-0, 0 for, like, it's like, okay, we've seen that. It's either he's running out of the box or you're dressing someone else. But Kurse can't be up in the midfield anymore. And if they do that again this weekend, and they put Taylor in attack and him at the midfield, they're going to lose the game. So they got to stop doing that. And
and I don't think they will, but who knows with Tierney. But that would be really dumb. And I would even say, even if you're scoring 3 goals a game, like, you're telling me that Kurse wouldn't also be catching and finishing those shots on the inside? Like, he would. It's just like, one-dimensional players are far and few between. I mean, the only one right now and is Xander Dixon, and like even him, like athletically, like I mean, he still is dodging and scoring goals. He has more range than Taylor has. Like I just that one is weird. I don't like they've talked about how like Tierney tried to recruit Taylor out of high school. Like he has this kind of weird obsession with his game. To me, it's just it might be the downfall. Like they're on a 3-game losing streak. Like
And another, and the last thing I'll say, and we kind of jump to the other game. Like I think a big thing that that I haven't heard anyone talk about is the injury to Kenny Brower. Right, Kenny Brower got hurt, I think.
Yeah, it's a great call.
2 weeks ago. Like so, they've been missing him down there because he was. Man, he was like,
yeah, he was playing
I
really
think
good.
he was. I don't want to say defensive player of the year, but like, dude, he was like shutting guys down. Like Brennan O'Neill, he was the only guy I saw.
Yeah, Holman.
Not named JT Giles, and JT Giles can't guard Brennan O'Neill, but dude, he held him I think it was like 1 point. So him getting hurt, I think definitely hurts them on the defensive side. And then Scarpello went down, so they had one less D midi. So like Connor Kelly was having to run back and play D mid. Hannah was having to run back and play D mid. So that definitely had an effect as well on the game.
Yeah, and then we'll touch on them when we look ahead. But like the Cannons, like I said, all of a sudden you know you're kind of down and out, and now it's like like I said this in the opening, but the Outlaws loss all of a sudden doesn't look as bad because it's like, well, Bernhardt was in the crease, you went toe to toe with the best team in the league, and then you back that up having another offensive explosion, and you see Mackesy and Manny on the left side playing 2-man games, and I mean, Manny hit like 4 pipes and still had 2 and 1. Yeah. Maxey had his best game of the season. He was all over the place with shorties on him. That like it felt like, oh, here it is. They found their lineup. But the bigger thing is their defense. I mean, their defense played better for sure. They had clarity in the 2-man game. There were switches. They were sliding after the switches. Like a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, it looked like their defense finally was all on the same page with the game plan. But the biggest thing here, Hartsey, was Kurst goes 70%. I mean, like
100%.
let's not overthink it. Like a 50% Kurst in that game is probably 15-15. You know, in the last minute, could go either way. A 70% Kurst, and it's a comfortable win. So that's something to watch. Like, he kind of refined his form, but when he plays like that, this offense, and look, Asher also looked like himself. Fastest I've seen Asher run all year. He sprinted to the sideline to pick a ball up off the sideline. I was like, if he dodged that fast, like half the time, guy would be unstoppable.
I don't know about the Cannons this week, right? I saw Asher and Marcus in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, eating a little ice cream before this game, and Asher had his best game of the year. Now I see Marcus in Wyoming by himself, no Asher. So got to get the big fella some ice cream, I think.
Asher's from Denver. He clearly had a pep in his step. Now the question is, can he do that again? Like, is he going to show up like that the rest of the season? Because he's shown up like that one game. Is he going to do it now the rest of the season?
You call him the Jokic of lacrosse. So I think playoff Asher is engaged, man.
Yeah, but Jokic plays all year. He doesn't like that's the difference. He was 3-time MVP. Like Asher ain't the Jokic right now. I'm just saying, like he has to be better more consistently. But when he plays like that, man, because he saw they weren't sliding. They clearly had a game plan against him, and he went to the rack over and over and over again. And what he ended with 4-2 or 3-2 or something like that. But it was just his activity, frees everything else up. And then I want to make sure I call it out because the 2-man. It's so funny how it now just seems so obvious. Manny and Buchanan back in the day, the PLL wrote an article about this. Will's always played with another lefty. Manny and Buchanan used to run these 2-man games back in the Cannons days when Will was young and early in his career. Then he goes to the Lizards and he plays with Joe Walters over on that left side, and you guys win a championship. I guess the championship was before Will got there, but you guys had a lot of success offensively with Will and Joe playing over on the left and Rob at X and that. And then you get in this game and you watch Coulter, who's probably the more athletic dodger of the two, has the shorty. Will, who's probably the headier, smarter, a little more active off-ball player, has the pole. And they're just, first time it's pick, throwback, then it's pick, slip, dive, cut, then it's get the switch. Coulter, sweeps on the shorty and get like they must have gone into 4 2-man games and did 4 different things out of the 2-man game, and it put a lot of pressure on the defense. And you still have Campbell, you still have Asher and Marcus hammers it too. Like that was the version of the Cannons you kind of been waiting to see. I don't like the pressure stays on them though. Like they it's great to see it, but they could still miss the playoffs if they come out here and go 0-2 at home. And we've seen home teams struggle. Like this game Friday against the Redwoods is massive. Like you don't
Yeah.
want to go into that last game on the back half of a doubleheader playing against the Whip Snakes who have championship pedigree and having to be playing having to win that game to get in. Like Friday is a huge game for Boston, but let's of course ramble. Let's
You've already
backtrack
did.
a
You
little
already did
bit.
what you said you weren't going to do, Scott.
Yeah, we're right on time here. Let's talk about the first game, which you predicted correctly. The Chaos against the Outlaws. Man, the Chaos like unbelievable performance by the Carolina Chaos in this game.
Yeah, you do not want to play the Carolina Chaos first round of the playoffs. I can tell you that, or you do not even want to see them in the playoffs because it's saying Blaze had 9 saves. That's odd to me, but it seemed like he had 50. But maybe I'm off there. But like, yeah, man, they just keep proving people wrong week in, week out. And Owen Hiltz, I don't know what his points are per game, but
He leads the league. He leads.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure in points per game, he leads the league.
so Chris Kavanaugh has had an unbelievable season, but for me, man, Owen Hiltz is my rookie of the year. He just like every single game, it seems like he has 6 points. And
Yeah.
you kind of, in the beginning of the season, you touched on it and you were very high on him. And man, he's just proved all the freaking people wrong. And how far he slid in the draft. He should have been maybe like, dude, him and McAsee, like he's outplaying him. And
yeah,
he
by
was
a lot.
drafted at what spot he was drafted, but he's the story of the Chaos for me. Owen Hiltz, and then obviously in the back in the back end is Blaze Rare, and we know that.
Yeah.
But
I agree on Hiltz being rookie of the year. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me with
yeah,
that. And I mean, I think Logan McNaney probably is the only other one that maybe has a case to be made there for me. I mean, first place team, and so to me, it's a battle between those two. I mean, Hiltz is playing like prime T, like
it's crazy.
he's the quarterback of the offense. It's nuts. But a couple other things so Blaze 9 saves, 47%. Blaze was not good in the first half of this game. So I do
No,
think, that also seems low. He must have picked off like 4 passes in the second half.
yeah,
And again,
yep,
it's like, we shouldn't give him a break. We do because who he is. But in the fourth quarter, like it's just every time you need the save, Blaze is making the save. And so it's like, yeah, he's not great in the first, but then all of a sudden as the game gets tighter, it's like you can just put it in the bank. He's going to make the save when he needs to make the save. And again, he's picking off passes. Ignacio at the faceoff X has been a revelation for them. I mean, he's been very good. And again, late in this game, it's a 1-goal game. He's earning them possessions, which helped drain that clock out. I do have something to call out on that I think will be a learning moment for the coaching staff there. But they're down 8-3 or 8-2 in this game, and they just like culturally they're just, and I talk about Blaze's leadership a lot. I don't want it's not just Blaze. It's Blaze, it's Rowlett, it's Newman, and it's Ray. Like that's the core that has been there, and you're seeing the same thing out of them. We saw, we used to always talk about it's the Canadian offense and it's their ability. I think what you're really seeing is even then, like Byrne and Dane, and those guys, Chase Frazier, yeah, they were a pain in the ass, but they were still winning playoff games 12-11. Like it's been Ray, Newman, Rowlett, and Blaze has been the core, and Glacini from a leadership perspective has been the core of this team, and they are just so fucking resilient. They go down in this game. There's absolutely no panic. Blaze isn't playing great. You're playing the best team in the league at home in front of a sick crowd, and just workmanlike. They just work their way back into the game. You have, Owen Hiltz has a great game. Eicher once again with a great game. Ross Scott with a solid game, and then Knobloch looks healthy now,
two-banger.
which and he was just much more a part of it than he has been, coming off of the hamstring injury. If you
he looked snappy. He looked quick and snappy, man. Getting him back's gonna be huge for them,
dude.
sure.
And then you're kind of they're getting a goal out of Perkovic every game, which is wild. Sherilyn Beatties is they're getting a couple goals out of him a game. It's like those guys are now in the appropriate role of if you get us a goal, it's great. But with Hiltz, Eicher, and Scott, and maybe Knobloch, kind of whose responsibility the offense is with those guys. And I just couldn't be more impressed. I think they talked about it on the broadcast. I mean, Rowlett goes out, and this is where Troy Ray you can play him at LSM, you can play him at close D. Like he just gives you so many options. And then the kid Verch, their rookie
Having a great year.
LSM, is picking up every tough ground ball. So Ray has to bump down. Verch ends up taking kind of all the pole responsibility, and they don't miss a beat. Like this team, I don't know if they've got enough to win the championship. It wouldn't shock me. They're probably going to have to go through this Outlaws team, which it's clearly a well contested game, but they're playing as well as any team in the league right now. And I also think like Newman covers. This has always been the thing with their defense to me. You have the versatility in Ray, and he's very good off the ground. You have the quickness of Rowlett, and he doesn't get enough credit for how smart he is. He knows when to push out and shut off. He can run with the fast guys. He's much stronger than he looks. He kind of throws takeaway checks. But then Newman's size, like when you have, whether it was a Rambo kind of back in the day or a Zed or now a Brennan O'Neill, like Newman's big enough to just kind of sit there and take Brennan O'Neill's shoulder to his chest and not really get moved off his spot. And he's long enough to disrupt shots. Like, I think he, for a while, like, he did the whole two-bomb thing. He kind of got, became a little bit of a media darling, which naturally leads to maybe some shade being thrown. But, like, the reality is the substance of his defense, especially on ball, covering big, strong guys like O'Neal, he does it as well as anybody. And so they can match up with teams so well. Like, when you go into matchups against them, they know who Rowlett's on. They know Ray, or whoever is going to go cover the off-ball guy, and they know Newman's going to cover whoever the most physically imposing guy is. They match up very, very well. They've got that kid playing D-Midi now, Langemeyer. He's a fucking meat stick. Like,
He's good.
We struggled with kind of their D-Midi group athletically. He's brought some athleticism, some physical play. Man, I love this team. They're very fun to watch to me right now, and just a great story. And it's good because I think they can challenge the Outlaws in the West, and that was a really impressive win.
Yeah, and the Outlaws, like, we can just touch on them briefly, but like they come out hot, right? They score 9 goals in the first half, and then second half just 1 goal each quarter. So like that second half, you ran into a hot Blaze. Obviously, Blaze, you touched on it, didn't play good in the first half, but I think this loss might be good for the Outlaws because they've been so hot. So just getting, a little chink in their armor on this weekend, not going 2-0. I think that's good for them. So
I totally agree with that. Like the Outlaws, we said it before, but like this weekend just didn't matter. Like they were already going to get the 1 seed. They got the win at home in the second game, which is nice. And Eric Law running around out there, which was kind of cool. But like the challenge for them now is they have 2 weeks off. Like they've got to go. They got to bye the last week of the season, and then they have the first round bye. So like
I don't like that at all. As a coach,
neither.
you got to hate that.
Yeah. And I'm sure that
do they give them the option to?
I think they do. I know that they didn't a while ago. We should look into that because I think they got to get together and practice. Like you have to. You can't just make a team go away and then come back into the semifinal game. Like
the hottest team in the league, you're gonna put them on ice for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so that's a tough scenario for them. But I mean, they're going to be well rested. Like they're going to be fresh. It's just so I want to call some down on the coaching staff though for the chaos. This is also always bugged me. I think Kyle Sweeney deserves a ton of credit. I also think with the chaos defense, I also think you see the chaos doing the same things they've always done. They come out in this game. There's a short stick on Wisniewski. They're double like they always do the things that like people like you and I sit here and talk about. Oh, you should do when you're defending these guys. Like they're so versatile. I keep talking about it, but their defense just molds to cover you to whatever your strengths are. They can take those away with Rowlett, Newman, Ray. Like they're very good at that, right? They're good at when they play the Cannons, shutting Marcus. Like we're just not going to let Marcus shoot step downs. Like they do these things. Reminds me of like a Belichick defense where it's like, if you're going to beat us, it's not going to be doing what you love to do. We're going to make you like do something different. So I want to credit Colsey and Sweeney and the coaching staff for that. But end of the game, 1 goal lead. They win a face-off backwards. They pick up the ball. It's kind of a scrambling situation. They call a timeout. They're on the defensive half of the field by about 10, 12 yards. They go into the huddle. They don't fucking talk about anything. They go into the huddle. It's like chaotic situation in the huddle. Colsey says, split up O and D. So Sweeney takes the D. Then I hear Sweeney say, or I hear Colsey say, we have to clear. or like run our clear. Then they run out on the field. They've got too many guys. You see McCready's calling Glacini off the field. Then Ross Scott just runs the ball over the midline and immediately gets doubled and throws the ball out of bounds and gives the ball back with 40 seconds left. It's like, why don't coaches coaches are so obsessed with their, and I don't know who's to blame here, because I did hear Colsey say we have to clear. I mean, I think he's to blame. He's the head coach.
Yeah.
Coaches are so obsessed with talking about their offense that they don't fucking make sure we're on the same page to clear. Like, it was such bad situational coaching. Get in the huddle. Here's who's on the field. Get on your fucking whiteboard. We got 2 defensemen clear. Newman and Rowlatt's out of the game. Ray, you guys are back here with Blaze. I want my first line midfield plus Langemeyer, Glacini, or whoever we're putting out there as my D-midi. Glacini, you're the extra close defenseman. If anybody has to stay back, it's you. We're going to try to run it out. We're going to spread our attack out this way. If we get a double, make sure you dump it in the corner and don't turn the ball over up at the top of the field. Like, there were so many situational things that they did not talk through in that timeout. In fact, they didn't talk about anything. They literally went to the timeout. It was like chaotic 40 seconds. They come out, they run the ball over the midline, turnover. They give the ball back to the Outlaws. Now, luckily, it doesn't come back to hurt them, but that's the type of thing that, and I do think Colsey seems very dialed in. He's done a great job of turning it around. Like, if you're coach, you go back and watch film, that has to be handled. Like, I think, yes, you need to situationally practice those things, but as you know, Hartsey, like, you don't get a lot of chances to practice situational lacrosse in pros, because you have kind of one night and it's kind of like you're just trying to play into a rhythm and run through some things. You have to be great at managing late game huddles and going in with a plan and knowing exactly what you want to do. And that was the type of mistake that could have lost them the game, and it ends up not losing them the game. Be interesting to see to me if he learns from that. Like, that was the whole thing that I thought Towers got, like, essentially lost his job over, was the amount of times they were in 1-goal games late and he just was like making shit up off the top of his head in the huddle. You got to be dialed in these late game huddles and understand situational lacrosse and not start talking about what we're doing on offense when you have to clear the ball first. Like, figure out the clear.
Yeah. New staff, they'll learn from that. But also, I think, some new coaches probably come in this league and like, these guys are pros. They know how to clear. But yeah, you're right. You got to draw that up. You got to put people in spots for success, and they'll learn from that. They've done a great job.
They do know how to clear. Like, I heard him say run our clear, but it's like, it's situational. Like, it's not, you're not going to be clear. They're going to be doubling. So you're not clearing against the same thing you've been clearing against all game. They're going to have their goalie out of the cage. It's going to be a 10-man. I just would love to hear, like, even something like a drop zone. Hey, Ross, you're going to try to run it out. If you get into a double, we're going to toss the ball to this spot on the field. Because what that does is, if you're running into a double and you're up by the midline where he was, and you know where the drop zone is, if you're the attack, you can pull your guys away. You see him getting in trouble, and you can get the first step running towards the drop zone, because I know he's just going to chuck the ball to this area. I mean, we used to do this at Loyola all the time, like against 10-mans and things like that. We just have an attackman kind of sleepily walking back, and then plant his foot and take off towards the drop zone. And he's going to win the race to that ground ball because he knows where we're going to toss the ball to. Like, there's just little things that it just really bugs me. Like, at this level, the coaches to me have to be better than that. And I just thought it was, I think this happens almost once a game. I think it happens with almost every staff, but this one was just a very obvious one that I wanted to point out.
Yeah, like what you did there. You give them praise and then you just knock them right back down.
Hammer. McCready, Sweeney, love those guys. Do better. Like, that was you almost lost yourself the game with not having a clear fucking in place there. So okay, so other games from the Denver weekend, that are worth talking about. I mean, I think that the Atlas Outlaws, like, good credit to the Outlaws. I mean, not going 0-2. The crowd was awesome, just as we predicted. Packed house, all cheering for the Outlaws. Like, man, that's what you want to see. Like, if you want to believe in the future of the PLL, what we've seen in the Archers, Outlaws, and what I bet we're going to see in Cannons weekend, like, that's what'll make you believe. Because, like, the Outlaws might have outdone the Archers. If that place was even more packed and it was just as, if not even more, pro Outlaws, that was really cool. But like, that game was it was very sloppy. The Outlaws Atlas game, I think, kind of as we expected. The Outlaws winning that game, to me, like, To me, they're the scarier team of those two, the Outlaws and the Atlas. I mean, what do you think? Like the Atlas, you're playing a team coming off a 6-hour break, and you're going to let them come back and win?
Yeah, it's Entenmann 18 saves, 60%, and then shout out like the Wehrman kid. He's been solid for the Outlaws all year. He edged Baptiste 14-26. Baptiste was 13-26. But yeah, they kind of laid an egg in that fourth quarter. Obviously, Entenmann was hot. He made a lot of saves in the second half. But yeah, man, I thought the Outlaws with a little bit tired legs were the Atlas were gonna jump all over them, and yeah, I think that's also losing to the Chaos and then rebounding against arguably the best team, second best team in the league is huge for them confidence wise going into their bye week. Because if they drop two, right, they lose to the Chaos and then they lose to the
Yeah, and then
Atlas.
you
It's
have to
like
take 2 weeks off. Kind of
then
sucks.
you take 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but like Pisano hit a huge 2-pointer in that fourth. I think that was in the fourth quarter. He hit that too. Mike Manley hit a 2 in the first game. So they have to be leading the league in transition out of the back end. And this was just a huge win for them. And the Atlas again, like their attack. I mean, Schellenberger is obviously in the conversation, maybe the front runner for MVP right now. He has, I think, in my opinion, has surpassed Sowers in that because Sowers is kind of slumped. We've been talking about that.
Yeah, I
But
still like O'Neal as the front runner
yeah,
for that.
yeah. The Reed Bowering kid working with Teat on that left side, he's just a grinder. He's been getting like 2-3 points a game. But again, like the Atlas and the Outlaws, in my opinion, they're the top two teams in this league right now. But like, yeah, man, that was a big loss for them heading into next weekend, and we'll see how they respond. But yeah, I think the story of the weekend was Entenmann, obviously 70%. I don't know how they lose that game with him going that high in the
Yeah, but
same.
like if that's
same
the story, like I'd be concerned. Like
yeah,
your goalie saves 80 fucking percent of the shots, and you still lose to a team who played at midnight the night before, and now it's 8 a.m. and you're like,
yeah.
it's been the same thing with this Atlas team. I don't know if they're
Not
tough. Like this whole generation of the Baptiste T Atlas are regular season heroes, but like don't and they to me this is a prove it. Like the Outlaws when you watch them right now, it's like I'm gonna keep talking about it. It's like the charisma, it's the energy, it's the celebrating, like O'Neal screaming and Kavanaugh's jumping on him, and you're like, yeah, these guys are fucking dogs. You don't see that with the Atlas. You see, like, they're kind of pretty boys. Like that. Fuck it, I'll say it. Who's tough on that team? I think I've said this a bunch of times about them
yeah.
before. Like Danny Logan played but like nice guy. Like who's what Curse did? Like if you play the Cannons, you're gonna have to get punched in the face. If you play the Outlaws, you're gonna have to get. Neil's gonna fucking hammer it on the run too, and then scream at you. Like you don't get that from anybody on this Atlas team. And
Yeah.
besides maybe Entenmann is kind of the only guy who seems to have like that edge, and maybe he can carry them there. But like to me, that's a concern. Like again, you're probably locked into the 1 seed. Like I was the one who said like don't overreact to this game either way. I still think talent wise, you like them to come out of that Eastern Conference, but man, like them coming off a bye, having to play whoever it ends up being, the Water Dogs, the Cannons, or the Whip Snakes, whoever it is of that group is going to have just a tough game. I don't. They make me nervous. I just don't know if they have the grit
Yeah.
to
Trainer.
win.
Yeah. Yeah. Trainer and Doc's Aiken 0 for 9 shooting out of the midfield. That wasn't good. They got to get those two. I think Trainer and Docs, if they get those two going, they're going to be that's going to be scary.
I mean, they got fucking 1 week left in the season. Like, I don't know. Like
I
Doc's,
said this.
like
I said if.
yeah. I mean, it's just like what Coach Henley used to say: if ifs and buts were cherries and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. Like,
Yeah, we can. And let's move to the final game. Scott, are the Whip Snakes dead?
They're not dead. They should be.
They're
dead,
not dead.
but they're not dead because they could be controlling their own destiny in their last game of the season against the Cannons. I mean, you can't be dead if you're not dead.
But I mean, you know what I mean. Are they dead? Like,
yeah,
you think they're dead?
this was a tough one because they control this entire game. They dominate the game really until the last 5 minutes. They let the Redwoods pull ahead, and Dylan Malloy scores a big goal. And look, it's concerning. You're not getting like the dominant play out of TJ Malone. what is that? The three straight the Whip Snakes have lost, or at least two
Yeah.
straight. They're definitely on life
Consistency in the
support.
roster too, right? Yeah. Nardella, I think this is the first game we've seen him. We've been so high on Joe Nardella. I think Joe Nardella has been the best faceoff guy in the league. He goes 9 for 26 against TDI, only went 21 of 29. That has to be one of the big stories of the game, just because going into that fourth quarter, obviously we just touched on that, but the inconsistency in the roster, the inconsistency of production on the Whip Snakes roster, it's just all over the place.
How
I
much
don't.
blame do you think Stags deserves? Let's say the Whip Snakes are dead and they don't, pull a rabbit out of their hat in this last weekend. I mean, again, they need to win. They need to beat the Cannons in the last
Yeah.
in the last game of the season, and they need either the Water Dogs or the Cannons to lose on in their first game, because they have all the talent, but you're right. They have not gotten consistent production from anybody. Brandows, I think, leads them in goals, and Malone leads them in points. Those have been the two most consistent guys on that offense. But you haven't seen anybody else consistently. And I just wonder how much of that's been the lineup move. We talked about at the beginning of the season, but I just don't know that Stags with this roster and this team this season did a great job of making anybody feel empowered, in this offense.
Yeah.
They grip their sticks real tight, it seems like.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in this. What happened in this Denver weekend, but the midfield production out of this weekend was absolutely brutal. I don't know what the stat is, but we've been calling them out. But the Whip Snakes midfield, 1 of 17 shooting, and they're getting the only midfielder who scored was Levi Anderson. That's not a good stat. Your
Levi
midfield's
Anderson
going
scored on
17.
it was a backhanded shovel shot from 14 yards.
Yeah.
It was a deep one backhanded shovel shot. It's nice goal, but that's not really probably the shot we want to live with more times.
Yeah, the only midfielders that scored were, we call Fogos, but Nardella scores, and then Bernard hits a 2-pointer, and then the McDonald kid, he had 2 goals. So out of all their goals, the LSM had 2, and then Jake Bernhardt had 2 via 2-pointer. But their attack, Aiden Carroll, he had 3 points, Malone 3 points, Pinnell 2 points, and then the midfield just nothing. So that's for me. It's kind of weird. We've been calling those stats out. The midfield production this past weekend, the Water Dogs were 0 for 23 or 1 for 23. So that's definitely concerning heading into their final weekend. They need to figure that out, because, again, we just touched on it. It's just been up and down for them. The lineups have changed. Rambo's in, Pinnell's in. They're just all over the place. And Stags, I think you just said that. How much blame does he deserve? I don't want to put 100% of it on him, because obviously players
90,
on the field.
98%.
98. Obviously a lot of turnover in this roster this past season. Rambo looks like this might be the end for him, or maybe he needs some new blood and going to a new team. But they have a young roster, and not making no excuses for anyone, but there was a lot of inconsistency. There wasn't a consistent roster all year, and that might be to blame for sure. I would say that. So
so we should just really quickly, highlight too. The Redwoods, just gritty. They were kind of the darlings in the beginning of the season. Train, right, comes in and kind of revitalizes this team. Then it was they have this reality check when they go on this losing streak and their talent. And now here they are, they've gotten themselves back to a situation where they're 4-5 and they're likely going to make the playoffs outside of kind of disaster in the last weekend. And they pull out a really gritty win in this game. So you mentioned TD, excellent at the faceoff X. His brother Chase, be good in the cage, which he's kind of been up and down. But they're just finding ways. There's nothing really that jumps off the page about them on either side of the ball. But they're taking that Anthony Kelly kind of energy and grit, and they're finding ways to win the game. And I think the opposite of Stags, I think him and Bachlet, that group, that coaching staff, Collins, deserve a ton of credit, because this team to me is overperforming, by a lot, frankly, in terms of kind of the talent that they have. That's a great game to win. You if you lose that game and you're them, I probably am picking the Archers to make the playoffs. So for them to pull that out and get themselves a seat at the table here in the playoffs, most likely, that coaching staff does a lot of credit. And Anthony Kelly with the highlight of the weekend, just walking away from Quint mid interview, mid sideline interview, Quint says they don't have any assists. So like the Redwoods are losing, and Quint poses this question: they don't have any assists. Is that what you want? Basically, like
Yeah.
obviously he's trying to say like, are you trying to? Is the goal to make them beat you as Dodgers? But the way he asked the question was very like condescending. Like you're losing the game. Like them scoring goals. That no, this isn't what we want. They score a goal in the middle of the interview, and Coach Kelly just kind of looks at him and then just turns and walks away. And Quint is just like so small with the microphone next to him. That was probably my favorite moment of the weekend. I thought that was so funny from Train, and the game kind of turned after that goal too. By the way,
yeah, they got to give these training camp weekend. They're gonna have to do some like, they have to bring Quinn in and do some like media training for these coaches because they just threw them in the fire this year with the sideline interviews. Quinn can do whatever the hell he wants, put a mic in their face, and like some of them are thrown off guard because you catch a coach in a wrong moment, like a Tierney. If Tierney ain't winning, if Tierney's down by 3 or 2, don't go talk to him. He's gonna probably rip the mic out of your hand and beat you to death with it. Like,
dude,
but yeah, it's funny. He just
interviewing a coach during the middle of a play is a weird thing. Like they're doing stuff. Like,
could you imagine Belichick getting interviewed? Could you imagine Belichick getting interviewed in the middle of the Patriots game? Like he wouldn't say a goddamn word. He would just walk.
I'm fine with it though. So I like it better than the in-helmet player interviews where like they can't fucking talk because they're breathing too hard. As long as the league is okay with the coaches doing this shit. Like you can stick a mic in my face, but I might tell you to get the fuck out of my way, or I might just walk off like that. Because I thought that was really funny and entertaining. So I don't mind it, but just don't be fining coaches if they're not being, agreeable in those situations. That would be my one kind of stipulation there.
Yeah.
I mean, I also love the Brian Holman moment where Quint's like, game's really chippy and blah, blah, blah. And Brian's like, we got to fucking win. Like, he was just like, we're playing hard. Like, what do you want me to say? So, all right. So let's wrap up here, Hartsey. It's going to be an awesome weekend in Denver. We got to get into some predictions. So, not just who's going to win the games, but who's going to make the playoffs and how are they going to get there. I'll let you start and then I'll come in behind you.
Yeah, I think, heading into Cannon's homecoming, like this is a big weekend. You've played in Boston, Scott. You know what that crowd, they show up there and in a big way. So the Cannons obviously need to win, especially I think the Friday night game is the most important one to get off to a good start. But going into that first game, man, I'm going with the Cannons over the Redwoods. I think they're going to win by 3 in that game. I think they come out hot in front of that Boston crowd. Your next game, Carolina Chaos, Utah Archers. I do not want to pick against the Chaos ever again. So that's an easy pick for me. I'm going the Chaos. It's an ESPN2 game. I'm shocked that game wasn't flexed to maybe something else, but I don't even know what you flex it to because ABC is the next one. Water Dogs Atlas. That is going to be a dogfight, literally a dogfight because the Water Dogs need to win. And the Atlas, I think, need to win going into the playoffs to, get off to a good start heading into the postseason. So I'm going with the Atlas there. So Cannons, Chaos, Atlas, and then I'm going with the Cannons against the Whip Snakes. I think they're the first team this season to go 2-0 in their home at home in the PLL weekend. So those are my picks.
All right. So according to your picks, that would eliminate the Whip Snakes from the playoffs, and that would eliminate the Archers from the playoffs.
Yep.
So, all right. So I agree. I think Boston takes care of California. I think because California got that win, I'm partly going to pick to minimize drama here. Like I want to see high drama this weekend. So I think the Cannons are going to beat the Redwoods. Okay, and in doing so, the Cannons are going to solidify themselves into the playoffs with that win. In game 2, okay, I think so. What that also then creates when the Cannons beat the Redwoods by 5 is a situation where the Archers are a 7 or 8 goal win away from making the playoffs themselves. So let's say the Cannons win by I'm not going to do the math. Let's say they win by 5 and the Archers have to win by 8. The Archers win by 7. So the Archers are going to come up 1 goal short on score differential. The Chaos, you're solidified in. You're not going to get the 1 seed. You don't have a ton to play for if you're the Chaos. Like so, Again, do the Archers though? The Archers are also playing for the first overall pick by not, but yeah. When the Redwoods lose, the Archers are going to have a lot to play for. I know we're not going to have Tom and Grant. I just think they'll somehow find a way. Sam King back at Harvard, big game. The Archers win, but they don't overcome the score differential they need. So the Archers miss the playoffs. The Redwoods. That's hard. Part of me honestly wants to pick the Cannons to smoke the Redwoods and then the Archers to win by enough to get in, but I'm not going to do that. I think the Archers are going to come. That's my pick. The Archers are going to come up one goal on score differential short after they beat the Chaos, and then the next game, the Atlas are going to beat the Water Dogs. It means a lot more to the Water Dogs, but nothing about them has shown me that they even like pay attention to when it's important. They always just look like they don't ever look like. Not ever. They've had like flashes this season, but so often they play uninspired. So there's nothing about this that makes me feel like they're ready to go out here and play great. I think the Atlas, will be kicking themselves for losing that one to the Outlaws. They get another chance on ABC. I think they're going to come out and play well, kind of solidify themselves as that one seed and the favorite in the East. And look, this is a team that's been flirting with playing for a championship for a while. Like it's fucking time to your point, it's time to show it if you're the Atlas. Like win this fucking game and go in there and win a semifinal game. If not, don't ever fucking talk to me again. I don't want to hear from you next season if you don't get it done. All right. So I think the Atlas win. So what does that create? The dream scenario. Cannons already in the playoffs. Whip Snakes playing. If we win, we're in, and the Water Dogs are out. If we lose, we're out and the Water Dogs are in. This is the scenario I want to see. In this scenario, does Brian Holman take the Cannons team to Topgolf and put down an open bar and say, fuck the Water Dogs? Again, are they going to try to throw the game on the field? No, of course not. But there are other things you can do. There's other fairy dust. Team bonding. The night
West End Johnny's
maybe a little boozy breakfast. Adam Gittleman and I one year were playing in Boston when we were on the Blaze. Last game of the season, we're already eliminated. So this game is completely meaningless. It's an 8 p.m. game. We might have had a couple glasses of champagne at lunch sitting there in Cambridge Square that day before the 8 p.m. meetingless game that night. Like, I'm just saying there's great brunch spots all over Cambridge where they're hanging out. Gitsy knows this area. And I'm not saying that you'd rather play the Whips or the Water Dogs. Like, I don't really think there's a difference there. I think you'd rather the Cannons.
I think you'd rather play the Whips, obviously.
I think you probably would, but like at the end of the day, like I don't know that there's a huge difference. Like the Whips, they'd be a pain in the ass to deal with too. You got Nards and you got like whatever, but I just think the hate for the Water Dogs and the Cannons is real, and I just think it would be so poetic if the Cannons beat the Redwoods and then come out there and lay an egg against the Whip Snakes and the Water Dogs exit. So that's what I'm going to pick. The Cannons, not because they're not the team to beat the Whips, but because they go to brunch and then they end up losing to the Whips. And so the Water Dogs exit the playoffs. The semifinals in the East is Maryland, Boston, with a chance to go play New York. And in the West, it's Carolina and California with a chance to go play Denver in the semifinals. So I think we're aligned except for what you had the Water Dogs in over the Whip Snakes.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, great episode. It's going to be a really fun weekend to watch. Can't wait. Harvard. I love the way they did the schedule. Good job, PLL. Yep. Salt Lake, Denver, Boston, back is epic. It's going to be another great crowd, high drama, good stuff.
Hell yeah, baby.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Peace.